great minnow imitation. Look at that trout. Howdy folks, Kel Kellogg here. Thanks for joining me on the Catch America YouTube channel. It is Monday morning, it's mid-January, and I am off on another trout fishing adventure. I am at Lake Davis, California, and this is a very unique opportunity. Usually at this time of the year, the lake is largely frozen over and all the roads leading in here are covered with snow. Well, we've had a warm, wet winter so far, so there's not a lot of snow, and the lake, in large part, is not frozen over. Now, right behind me here, you can see the back of this cove and some near shore areas are iced up, but I'm hiking around to the front of this point. It looks like I have open water. I have no expectations today. I don't know what to expect. I fished this lake a ton from boats and kayaks. It's one of my favorite trout lakes. But today, we're going to be fishing from the shoreline. We'll be throwing lures, throwing flies, soaking bait, hoping to get our trout on. So let me get back to hiking, find some open water, and we'll get to fishing. I'm going to be using a standard, Carolina style rig. Main line comes down through a bullet weight, couple beads, a snap swivel there, 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader, which is tipped with a small octopus style hook. And I'm going to be baiting up with garlic rainbow power bait. And I'm going to spike that with some of my power powder right there. So let's start off, get a piece of the bait here. Cold water, so I want to go with a fairly small bait, about that much. That right there in my palm. A little bit of power powder. Whoa, that's way too much, but that's okay. Got a little excited. So I'm running with a very small, compact bait today. Grab that hook. I'm so excited right now. It's cold. It's about 20 degrees out here, but my hands are shaking from excitement, not so much from the cold. And that sun feels good. So I'm thinking the trout are going to feel the same way. So I'm just inserting that hook into that ball of power bait infused with the power powder. I'm forming it around the eye of the hook, just like that. Very compact, very nice bait right there. So I'm going to cast this out, and then we'll get a casting rod ready. I just made a short cast to start with. It's a gradually sloping bank here. So I figure that bait is in about 3 or 4 feet of water. It is 8:30 exactly. So I'll let that soak out there for 15 minutes or so, and then I might try a longer cast. Meanwhile, I'm going to start working this entire area out in front of me with spoons, with soft plastics, with stuff like that. So I'm going to get started casting, and we'll see if we can get a hookup. Okay, I'm going to start fan casting with a 6-foot, 6-inch ultralight spinning rod. I've got it spooled up with some chartreuse braid. I've got a top shot on there of 6-pound test fluorocarbon. I've brought that down to a snap swivel, and I'm going to start out with an orange pinhead. I've had success trolling orange pinheads here, so why not start out casting one? So zero action on that power bait for 20 minutes, so I reeled in and changed things up a little bit. Went with a heavier sinker so I can cast out a little further, and I tied up a double hook leader. In the middle of the leader, I'm fishing a ball of garlic power bait, but up top, I am fishing a gulp pinch crawler, which I actually cut in half. So we'll toss these Berkeley products out there and see what they think of them. I've got some of my trigger scent on that gulp crawler, and I've got that power bait infused with power powder. So Got all the scent I can possibly get on there in this cold water. So let's cast it out and give it another 20 minutes or so. Oh boy, I'm getting hit here. I'm getting hit. There's plenty of slack. Plenty of slack. That's what a small change in presentation can do. I cast it out further, I switched my bait up, and almost instantly I got a bite. I've opened the bail, I'm just letting that fish have it. There he goes. Close the bail, and that line comes tight. It's game on, baby. Super curious what bait that fish hit. This feels like a huge trout. Yet, that water's pretty cold though, who knows? Ooh, he's putting up a tussle. All right. I love it when a plan comes together, baby. Oh, nice fish. Nice fish. A nice little rod here. Oh yeah. Oh, nice fish. I better get the net. Oh yeah. Rainbow City. Kind of interesting story. I couldn't find nightcrawler anywhere. So I was kind of bummed. Oh, that fish took that gulp crawler. And I found those gulp crawlers in the garage. And boy, I'm glad I did. It looks like a nightcrawler thing. Nightcrawler and trigger scent. Let's see. Get this guy in the net. Oh, nice big rainbow. Lord, I might just do this. Old school and floating up on the shore here. Just like that. Look at that trout. Man, oh man. What a beauty. That is one handsome rainbow right there. That fish is about 18 inches long. It's going to have awesome meat. That is just a treat, guys. Coming up here, high country. This lake should be iced over. It should be snowed in, but it's not. And when you have good conditions like this, sometimes you just got to drop everything and take advantage of it. And that's the results right there. That is just a phenomenal rainbow. I'm going to get that gear in the water and see if I can get another one. And then we'll get this guy on a stringer. Maybe just lay him here on the ice. That might be the thing to do. That is just an amazing fish. I've been fan casting for quite a while. I've tried flies, spoons, and I just tried a spinner. No action at all on those lures. And I think the water might be a little bit cold to get the fish to react to a lure right now. That might be a better option later in the day when these shallows have a chance to, warm up a little bit. Clearly, there's fish here. I've gotten 2 hits on bait. So I'm going to take a soda break. I'm going to sit down, and I've rigged up my second rod with a slip bobber right there. I've got, probably a 20-inch, 6-pound test fluorocarbon leader there, and I've got it tipped with a Berkeley mice tail, or mouse tail, I guess, since there's only one. And I've got my bobber stop situated right there. So this is going to probably be, I'm going to say 3 feet to 4 feet beneath the surface. So I'm just going to shoot this out there, let it float around. It's got a tiny little hook in it. So if I get hit, I'm going to let them have it for quite a while. I've put my trigger scent all over that. So hopefully we'll see that bobber go down. Always exciting when you're fishing a bobber when you start to get hit. We'll see what happens. Well, I'm sitting here taking a break, sipping my Diet Pepsi. Set that down. Had to check on my bobber. This is a good time to talk about bank fishing for trout, not just here in the high country, but, everywhere trout swim. I'm going to talk about lures and I'm going to talk about baits, but first I want to talk about conditions. Conditions are super important, and I think a lot of guys tend to overlook the conditions. They don't think about their presentation in terms of the conditions. Now, let's consider the spot where I'm at right now. I know this water is super, super cold. I was here the first week of November with my buddy Pete Fisher, and the water was in the 40s, and the fish were very lethargic then, so it certainly hasn't gotten any warmer. It's gotten colder, so I'm assuming the fish are still lethargic. That rainbow I got, that's a pretty good sized fish, and for the first 30, 40 seconds of the fight, he was pretty lethargic. So that tells me, where I want to fish. Just the idea that the water's cold. I position myself on this point where there's sun. Now, off the point of the point, over there behind me, there's sun over there too, but the water's much deeper over there. And at some times of the year, in the summer, late spring, early fall, that would be a great place to be. Get your bait out in that deep water, work that deep water. That would be fantastic. But today, when things are really, really cold, I came to this side of the point because it shows, I could see the bottom falling away under the water. It just shows me that this is basically a big shallow flat, okay? Now, because I have some intel with the lake, I fished here a lot. This whole area out in front of me here, I have literally caught hundreds of trout out here from my kayak. The dam is down there. It's pretty much within sight of me. And I know that when this lake ice is over, guys fishing the dam, fishing through the ice, they catch some very nice rainbows down there. So long story short, I figured this was a good area. The pitch of the bottom looked good. The fact that I'm in full sun, that's a good thing. I figure the action should just get better as the day goes on. Now, I've had 2 bites on bait, hooked to one fish. The other fish just played with it a little bit and swam off. Another indication that the fish are lethargic. So just as I sat down here and popped open that Diet Pepsi, a fish came up on the surface and took something on the surface. So I'm not in a big hurry to leave here. I've had bites. I've seen fish activity. I think I'm in a good spot. I know there's fish around me, and I think I'm in a location where those fish might come in to feed. Now let's talk a little bit about the tackle I'm using and the tackle that I'm carrying when I'm bank fishing. You don't need a lot of tackle when you're bank fishing, and that's a good thing because, you've got to carry it on your back. Sure, you can drive up to a spot and fish right there, but that may not be the best spot. You might have to be prepared to walk a little bit, hit some different spots, move around, do stuff like that. So, you can only carry a limited supply of stuff. It's a good idea to have a backpack. I like to carry 2 or 3 rods. It just saves me from doing a lot of rigging and re-rigging. I can rig all 3 rods up differently and then kind of figure out what's going on. I employ 4 basic rigs when I'm bank fishing. I fish bait off the bottom using that standard Carolina style power bait rig. You can fish inflated worms on there. You can fish power bait on there. You can fish the gulp, the floating crawlers on there. That works great. You can vary the length of your leader to get your bait, further off the bottom or closer to the bottom, depending on, the preferences of the fish. And you can vary the amount of weight that you use in order to, cast further, or sometimes you don't need to cast as far, so you can use a much lighter weight. My bobber's still out there bobbing around. So that's my main bait rig. My secondary bait rig is a slip bobber. And I'll fish all kinds of things underneath a slip bobber. Usually a night crawler works well. Sometimes I use power bait. Not a huge fan of that because it wants to float up, but you can put some split shot on your leader and deal with that. The gulp crawlers are good. The mice tails are good. Salmon eggs can be very, very good at times. The slip bobber is very versatile. You've got some weight there. You can cast it and you can move that bobber stop up and down. you could be fishing 10 or 12 feet deep out there, but still be casting with just a short amount of line, because when the bobber hits the water, the line feeds down through the bobber until it gets to the bobber stop. Bobber pops up straight, you know, everything's hanging down nice, and you're good to go. So those are my two bait fishing methods, off the bottom and under the slip bobber. When I'm casting artificials, I like to go with either, you know, a rod where I'm throwing spoons or spinners, or a soft plastic with a weight or plugs, stuff like that. That's one rod. The other rod is rigged up with a clear bobber that I can fill with water or split shot or whatever, and that enables me to throw things like flies very far out into the lake. I can get that bobber weighted properly, so I got neutral buoyancy, and I can fire it, you know, way out there. There's another fish just came up, so definitely in the zone here, so fingers crossed. But that clear water bobber is a very good, you know, trick to have up your sleeve. At times it can be absolutely deadly, and if that bobber and mouse tail doesn't work, I'm going to go back to throwing that trigger booger and that clear bobber, because that's the second fish I've seen in about 15 minutes, and that just tells me they're a little more active. So let's take a look at the kind of tackle I carry. Given a choice, I would have some night crawlers, but my night crawlers were dead, and I searched everywhere for night crawlers and couldn't find any in town yesterday. So long story short, I have no night crawlers. You always want to have power bait, a few different colors. I've got some yellow today. I've got this rainbow. I've got the garlic scent. I love garlic scent power bait. I've got my power powder, which enhances the power bait, makes it even better. So I'm utilizing that. A lot of times when you're bank fishing, the water is going to be cold. That's why the fish are near the bank. And scent can really help. Scent can really help with your presentation when the water is cold. So I'll employ that garlic scented power bait, spike it with that power powder. That works real well. Couple baits you should just have in your arsenal that take up no space. They don't go bad. The gulp pinch crawlers, the ones that float, those are a great night crawler substitute. They're a good bait. They're a great bait. I would rather have a real night crawler, but in a pinch, those will absolutely work. And mice tails. You know, mice tails come in a variety of different size, or different colors rather. They're versatile. You can fish them on that Carolina rig off the bottom. You can drift them under a bobber. They're a cool bait to have. And again, they weigh nothing. They stay in their own little envelope. They won't go bad on you. I like to have gel scent. This is my trigger scent. Anytime I'm fishing, you know, the plastics, the spoons, spinners, whatever, I'll even put this stuff on power bait in addition to the power powder. Trigger scent, it's got some anise in it. It's got some bait fish scent in it. It's got some crawfish scent in it. It's just a good all-around scent for any kind of predatory fish, especially trout and salmon. So again, cold water, use your scent. Let's get into the nuts and bolts. I have a box of, you know, my Trout Trix minnows, my Trout Trix worms, some grubs, stuff like that. I can throw those accompanied with a weight. I can put them on a jig head. I can throw them accompanied with the clear bobber, water bobber system. So that works good. Here I have a component box, and I'll actually swivel my chest cam down on this. So let me turn this on. You don't have to have a ton of tackle. In here, I've got pretty much everything I need. I've got some trigger boogers, snaps, swivels, bobber stops and beads, more bobber stops, the traditional rubber bobber stops, action discs, bullet weights, more weights, split shot. I've got hooks. I've got my power bait hooks. I've got hooks here for my soft plastics. I've got some more octopus hooks here. They're just not red. They're the same as red ones, but they're not red. So that's pretty much everything that I need to rig up and to fish from the bank in terms of terminal tackle. Now let's look at some lures. Now these are lures that I'm going to team, or I do team, with my clear casting bubble. just a variety of flies. I've got the trigger boogers. I've got some junior flies. I've got some of my sea flies, and those are the flies that are castable from the bank. I can either accompany these with the water bobber, or I can just throw them on the spinning rod. Great minnow imitation. It's a castable fly, hence the name, the sea fly. So that's that side of the box. Other side of the box, just some more subtle stuff right there. Just a variety of sinking flies. Some are in natural colors, some are in bright colors, but it just gives me a lot of options, different profiles, different colors. All of that stuff teams really well with the casting bubble. I can throw that a mile out into the lake, and a lot of times they will hit flies when they won't hit anything else. Now this is the box that's gonna get the most excitement from you gear guys out there. This is where I keep the hardware. Let me open this up. Get the chest cam on it again. This is just a big selection of hardware. I've got speed spoons. I've got trigger spoon juniors. More trigger spoon juniors. Pinheads right there. I've got some cripple lures. What would a bank fishing tackle box be without a selection of Castmasters? Legendary lure. I always have Castmasters. I always have some spinners too. Check out my spinner selection. I like to put everything on these pieces of foam. It just keeps them from getting too tangled up. There's my spinners. You know, I've got some blue fox in there. I've got some rooster tails in there. I've got some panther martins in there. I've got some subtle colors. I've got some chromes. I've got some coppers. I've got some painted models. Enough said. Trout fishing and spinners, as Snoop Dogg says, that's like peanut butter on jelly on gold. I mean, they just work. I was watching football yesterday and I heard him say that. I love that. Plugs, countdown Rapalas, Yozuri Alminos, which is basically a countdown Rapala type of a plug. But you know, you don't need a crazy selection. One compartment box here, and you've got way more than what you need. It's easy to carry, it's light. Stick it in your backpack, you are ready to rock and roll. Beyond that, you know, you need some fluorocarbon leader material, pliers, a knife, gloves if it's cold, some snacks, Diet Pepsi, don't leave home without it. And you're pretty well set for a day out on the lake. The backpack keeps you on, makes you, be able to stay on the move, to stay mobile. I think that's important. If you're physically able to move around, it's a good idea to be able to move around. I mean, I'm just looking out here and there's so many good points below me. I don't think they're any better than the point I'm on, but I might get a wild hair and want to go way over there. And if that happens, I will do that. That's about it. I brought a net today. I don't usually take a net, but I know there's some really big trout in this lake, so I figured, hey, what the heck, I'll grab a net. I tried to hook it on my backpack, and I did, but then it got all tangled up. I had a hard time getting it off there. But anyway, that's about it. You try to carry as little equipment as possible to cover the broadest possible range of conditions that you encounter out on the lake. Oh, another fish swirled there. Things are getting kind of exciting here. So. Well, you don't lose too many fish on power bait, but I got it done. I don't know how I managed to lose that fish. He was running with the bait, had him hooked good, and the next thing I know, he's about 20 feet offshore and he just comes off the hook. So, oh well. I'd given the 15-minute warning and then I got that bite, so I'm thinking we better stick it out for a while longer. Well, I hiked back to the truck, grabbed a snack, and drove on over here to the dam, but there's no fishing going on over here. The lake is a solid sheet of ice. I'm going to say out probably a quarter mile, a little more. So on that note, I'm going to call it a day. This ice doesn't look like it's thick enough to walk out on. At least I'm not crazy enough to walk out on it. But thinking with some continued cold weather up here, it won't be long before guys are out here ice fishing. I've never been here at the dam before. It's kind of cool. I'll walk around and do a little bit of filming, but I'm going to jump back in the truck and head on home. It has been a fantastic, beautiful day here in the high Sierras. You couldn't ask for better conditions. Was it cold? Absolutely. But we had beautiful blue skies, and I caught a very, very memorable rainbow trout. What a beautiful fish, and can't wait to cook them up and have them for dinner. I'm out of here for now. I'm Kel Kellogg. If you like this kind of content and you're not already a subscriber, please take a second to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and you'll always know when I'm here on YouTube on the Catch America channel talking about trout fishing. And if you're looking for trout fishing gear, get on up to catchamerica.com and we'll hook you up with what you need and we'll get it out to you quick. Oh, check it out. There's an otter right there. Oh, wow. That was super cool. There's a little open water right there, and he popped up there. It held his weight with no problem because he was sitting right there. That was super cool. When I was filming, I kept hearing a funny noise over there, and I walked over there to take a peek, and sure enough, it was that otter. He was up on the ice, probably swimming around under there looking for a fish, I suppose, or maybe eating some crawfish. They love crawfish too. Anyway, on that note, I'm really heading home. I will catch you next time right here on YouTube, guys.